about us.
Hello, hello. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. I see Debbie's in here from Australia. I've been watching the Australian Open, staying up late to watch. Hope you're watching as well. How's everybody doing? Let's see, where are we? There we go. One step forward. What's up? Great question. My brother Tom, what's going on, man? Proud of you this morning. Getting in the workout even when it's not necessarily convenient. It's cold out here. I got my space heater on in here. I've got a jacket with the show. But because of that, Melanie, what's up? Going up? What's up in Instagram? I see you guys over there in Instagram. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. We're going to let a few more people come in. If you're with us live, say hello. Let me know where you're from. If you're new, Linda, how are you? Great to see you. Grandma Mary, I'm looking forward to seeing you as well. We're going to pick you up tomorrow. Cannot wait. No, not tomorrow. Thursday, looking forward to that. As you guys know, you might not know, Doc's birthday's this week, so we're going to celebrate with him on Thursday, turn the big 7-0. Please wish him a happy birthday when he comes on. It's his birthday week. I believe we are live everywhere. Yes, we are. Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys. Welcome to the Performance Medicine Show. I'm your host, Ben Rogers. My dad, Dr. Rogers, is going to be on the show tonight answering questions. Let's see what we got here. We had a really fun week on the podcast. If you guys haven't checked this out, check it out. That is Dr. Vinay Patel of Mako RX. Super interesting around pharmaceutical drug prices. Similar, talked a lot about GoodRx and, ways to kind of shop around for your medicines. We talk a lot about that here at Performance Medicine. Definitely check this out. I thought Vinay was incredible, explaining kind of what's happening behind the scenes. And then if you guys want to know how I'm doing on the No Processed Food Challenge, you can find out by watching this episode. Lucas, our nutrition coach in the Johnson City office, kind of walks me through everything that I'm doing, gives me kind of a, good or bad things I can do differently. It was a humbling episode for me. I basically was just telling him everything that I'm doing to try to keep up with this No Processed Food Challenge. Is anybody in here doing that? Let me know kind of how it's working for you. I see Debbie's question around the carnivore diet. I love that. Edna, hello. Roel, what's up? Great to see you. We got some people coming in. Welcome in. Let's see. SW Elliott over there on Instagram. Hello. We're going to answer all your health and wellness questions tonight. We're going to be here for an hour. We're looking forward to hanging out. We put this up too in our weekly. If you guys haven't signed up for Performance Weekly, do. We send it out every Tuesday at 3 p.m. We do a blog article along with our Common Sense MD episode and links to all of our stuff that went out during the week. We put this in there because this was a great episode with Robin Riddle, our nurse practitioner in the West Knoxville office, and also star of Explain This. Talks about the three different red light therapies, kind of what they're good for, how it works. We've been talking a lot about red light on this show. So if you guys want to learn more, check that episode out. I believe Doc is ready to roll. Here he is. Let's do it. All right, let's see here. There we go. What's up, man?
Hey, Ben. How are you?
I am wonderful. You're looking great.
I am?
Yeah.
Thank you. You look good, too. Your hair's a lot longer than it was in that picture with Robin.
I was actually looking at that.
Yeah, look at the difference. Look at the difference. Have you started taking the happy, healthy hair? Is that what you're doing?
You know what's funny is I probably just haven't gotten a haircut since that episode. I actually think that's true. We recorded that, I think, around a year ago, and I have not gotten many haircuts in the last year. So yes, it's kind of funny looking back at that. But hey, it's your birthday week. Are you excited?
I am. I'm really excited. I turned 70 in a couple of days, and I made a few resolutions to myself, and that one of them is to always, speak what's on my mind, be unafraid to give my own opinion about things. As you know, for the past 5 years, I've been unable to do that, really. I've kind of danced around a lot of things because of censorship. And so now I have real hope that I won't ever have to do that again. As a matter of fact, you don't know I'm going to do this, but I'm going to sign my own executive order here. I, Tom Rogers, MD, promise to always tell the truth to my patients and not be fearful of being censored again, because I don't think we will. I think those days are over. And for those of you that are listening, I mean, we were censored many times, kicked off YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all those things. And now I think we really have a chance to not to have that happen before, because it really caused us a lot of headaches for the past 5 years. So I'm going to sign myself an executive order, and I'll throw it out there, and I'm going to also throw my pen out to people so you can keep it. I sign that order to myself. So I feel really good about what's happening with our healthcare system and our government. And again, you're a little more tactful than I am, but when you get 70 years old, you don't care so much. You're going to speak your mind. So I'm not afraid to say certain words. If you followed my Q&As and my podcast, you knew that there's 3 words that I could not say or we'd be kicked off. We were kicked off for months from those platforms. One of them was ivermectin, and one of them was vaccine, and another one was Fauci. This little man right here who caused all the problems. So I'm really very happy that I can sit him up on, actually move him around like an elf on a shelf. And, I don't mind speaking my opinion about this guy. As you know, he was pardoned yesterday. And when you think, why would a guy need a pardon? Because he did something wrong. He lied. And it's not for the first time. I mean, he really misled the American public on many, many things, not only the AIDS epidemic and a drug called AZT, but also COVID-19. I mean, he totally lied about it. And it forced a lot of problems, mandatory vaccines, which didn't work, did not prevent transmission, and were dangerous. So I finally am able to say that on a platform. Ben probably won't like it, but the next 2 podcasts that I do next week and the next week, the first week I'm going to talk about what happened during COVID and why we chose to treat it other than do nothing or give harmful things like remdesivir in the hospital. And then the next week I'm going to do one on the vaccine itself. And again, these are my opinions, but we wouldn't be American if we didn't have opinions, and we're able to express those with freedom of speech. So that's what I'm doing from now on. But there was also some great news. I mean, in this administration, we've got some great providers that are coming in there, like Bhattacharya from Stanford, Dr. McCary from Johns Hopkins, some of the most smartest, well-researched and published doctors in the world. We have Dr. Oz going in. We've got Robert Kennedy. He's a Kennedy, so he's got to be a little weird, but he has a lot of great ideas about getting rid of some of the toxins, in our food and our environment. And today it was announced that the U.S. is withdrawing from the World Health Organization, which is a great thing for us as a nation. We don't need to be told guidelines from the WHO, which is really controlled by private industry, the Bill Gates Foundation. Matter of fact, they fund 80% of the WHO's budget, at least. So it's been very biased. So I do not mind telling you what I think. So from here forward, I'm not going to leave out certain words and use ice cream for ivermectin. And again, if you don't see us next week, you'll know that the harmful forces are still out there. But I'm not worried about it. So I'm gonna speak my mind, and please tune in to those next two podcasts that I'm going to do next Tuesday and the week following. And I'm going to interview a doctor who thinks very much like myself, who treated thousands of patients with COVID and has done a lot of research about the vaccine itself. And we both have treated a lot of vaccine injuries, long COVID, all this stuff. So anyway, I know that's my little prelude today. It doesn't have anything to do with, tonight's episode, but I'm really feeling good about the future of our healthcare system. And I'm hoping that, more doctors will be unafraid to think outside the box and actually listen to their patients rather than do cookbook medicine and follow mandates from pharmaceutical companies who are tied in with the government, who are tied in with the insurance companies. It's almost been a bought out system, as you know. And fortunately, there's a few of us that aren't hooked into the system that can actually speak our mind and practice like we think you should practice. And so that's my little blurb for the night. But it's kind of a good little model. A patient gave me this, and I keep him in my office, But
I love that, Doc.
He did a lot of bad things. He did a lot of bad things. Nobody would deny that.
Yeah.
I wish him luck though in retirement. I'm just glad that he's gone. Let's put it that way.
Guys, stay with us all year. As you can tell, this year is going to be amazing on this show. We're going to get to talk about things that maybe we haven't been able to in the past. We're looking forward to, doing things that we think are healthy. And, one of those is things like the no processed food challenge, eating less sugar. I'm pumped about what happened with, what was it? Red Dye. Which one got?
Yeah, Red Dye 3.
Can you explain that to me? Like I'm a 5-year-old, like what that was.
It's something they put in candy and certain things to make it look red, so it looked good, Starburst and Skittles and all this stuff. But it's been known to be carcinogenic for many years, and there's going to be a 2-year phase out. But we're finally getting rid of yellow dye number 3, and
red dye.
Yeah, red dye number 3. And there's others that will follow. That's one good thing about Robert Kennedy Jr. He's going to come in there and kind of clean house with the FDA and make sure that a lot of these toxins aren't in our foods. That's why when you go to Europe, you're going to feel much healthier than you do when you're here, because they don't allow that stuff in there. I mean, compare a Fruit Loop from Canada to a Fruit Loop in the United States.
It's crazy.
Have so many more crazy ingredients in it. So I'm just really hopeful that, more people are going to, want to take control of their own health and gain the knowledge of, what's happening with our healthcare in this country, because it's awful. And you really wouldn't know it unless you were working in it and experiencing it, because, it's really tough. If you want to read a good book about it, which is fantastic, Dr. Callie Means
Casey
new book, or Casey Means new book.
You actually,
she's just amazing. It's a really good overall book on the healthcare system and kind of what you can do about it. But you almost have to take control of your own health, because the way the current healthcare system is so cookbook, bought out. I mean, doctors get penalized when they don't use certain drugs for a certain number on that patient's chart. They actually do. It's called value-based care, and it's just terrible medicine, unfortunately. And again, it's not the doctor's fault. It's the system's fault. They've been bought out, and these people that are profiteering on people's bad health is just horrendous to me. And, again, if I wasn't able to do what I do, practice independently with my own thoughts about it and my own research, my own experience, I would have retired 10 years ago. But here I'm 70 years old. I'll never retire because I enjoy what I do. I enjoy helping people, and I don't even consider it work. I just consider it it's kind of like a service, really. I've just landed in a good position to be able to do that. But And again, there's going to be people that disagree with me. But who cares? You know, we all have our own opinions, and I
Sure.
respect that. But
Yeah.
I'm just really glad that red dye number 3 is finally going to be out. There's a lot of other things that just shouldn't be happening. You know, you shouldn't be able to buy Cokes on food stamps. I mean, it's just, you know, they should not, that should not be happening. Our country is obese. We have more chronic illnesses than we've ever had. And a lot of it lies in our food supply. It's almost like our culture almost wants to keep you sick and treat all these chronic illnesses when, you know, it's really not that difficult. And when you see past all the red tape and all the bureaucracy, you actually practice medicine. You know, that's why I don't admire any doctors like this guy who's giving advice to people when he doesn't actually see patients. I don't respect it. So I don't respect the fact that people can get paid for, you know, using certain drugs by pharmaceutical and insurance companies. I just think it's bought out. But we were talking about red dye number 3, though, weren't we?
It's all interesting, and we're getting a lot of great comments here. Thank you guys. A lot of birthdays. Happy birthdays from our crew in here. Thank you guys. He's turning 70 this week. Thank you, Jamie. You guys are the best. Real quick, I while we're in our intro here, I want to get a check on Jack. I see Jack's in here. Jack, give us an update on how you're doing. You know, we know you're in the hospital last week during the show. Let us know that you're back home, recovering. We're thinking about you. Let me know in the comments, please. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Tabitha. I see Tabitha in here. Carter, Katie, you guys are the best. So many cool comments, but we're excited about this year on the show. And another thing I will say, like, you know, we're super hopeful about where the healthcare system is going, but remember that it still starts with you. You know, you got to take control of your own health no matter what. And that's really what we want to do on this show is help you do that. So, would you agree with that, Doc? Before I don't want to
Yeah,
kind
I really do. You know, it's not that hard, but you need to listen to your own body, and your doctors need to listen to you.
yeah.
And, you know, do your research. You know, with age comes wisdom. And I hope, you know, being a doctor for 40 years has helped me learn a few things, you know, through the years. And, but anyway, I didn't mean to get too political. I don't like to get political, but I am hopeful that we're kind of entering a new age of healthcare because it needs help badly. Obesity is our number one problem in this country.
Mm-hmm.
It's not high cholesterol, it's obesity and metabolic syndrome, which is probably the main thing that we treat. It's so misunderstood.
And speaking of that, I know there's a lot of stuff out around the GLP-1s. We want to talk about that. We want to, you know, have open discussions about, you know, any concerns people are having. I know there's some supply stuff as well that's going to, you know, maybe affect some people. So we'll talk about that. Maybe this episode this year for sure. Any quick tidbits on the GLP-1s? Anything kind of top of mind for you?
No, you know, we really like the GLP-1s. They've been around for 10 years. People that have metabolic syndrome, you know, they need help. And fortunately, we have this, what will win Nobel Prizes, a medicine that mimics GLP-1, which is a natural innate gut hormone that tells you you're full and helps your insulin work better. And works in 4 different ways, really. But I mean, this is an amazing medication that we use a lot of. It's been out a long time. Of course, you may have side effects. You have to weigh the risk versus benefit with any drug. But for people with metabolic syndrome, there is no such thing as willpower. You know, you cannot will your weight away by diet and exercise. Some people need help because of their metabolism. And the side effects of these GLP-1s are way less heart attacks, less strokes, reversal of non-alcoholic fatty liver, reversal of diabetic chronic renal disease, less dementia, less addictions, less sleep apnea even before you lose the weight. So it's not all about the weight. But I like them. We've used them thousands of times. They've been hard to get insurance to pay for them. So fortunately, our compounding pharmacists always seem to come through when there's a shortage, or they can't get it at a decent price because insurance companies don't want to pay for it when it's indicated. So just stay tuned to the compounding. That hopefully they'll be able to continue that. But there's always a way. So we just hope that it's going to be made available at a more reasonable price to everybody that really needs it. So I like the GLP-1s, and now we have the GIP as well, which is the combination is even better. We've talked about it many times, but
I love it. Guys, we're going to go ahead and get into the questions that came in throughout the week. If you have a question for Dr. Rogers, we're going to be here till around 8 o'clock tonight. Go ahead and put them in the comments. Thank you, Doc. You're getting so much love for your birthday in the comments. We appreciate you. Allison, Barbara, my brother Steve's in here. Cherry, Ruel, what's up, man? Thank you so much for this. Thank you so much for the kind birthday wishes for Doc. Okay, we're going to get to the questions that came in throughout the week. This one came in earlier today. I've been hearing a lot about BCP peptides. What is Dr. Rogers' opinion on taking them? I've read they are good for gut health, recovery after workout, and long COVID. Are there any other benefits to using them? So this is around the BCP peptides. Yeah. And I'll be honest, Doc, I don't know what a BCP peptide is. I know peptides, but BCP, what's that?
Yeah, that's one of the main ones we use. I take it every day.
Okay.
It's really body complex and protection peptide is what it is. It's really BPC.
Oh, BPC. Okay.
Yeah, it's really BPC. 157 is the one that we use. Again, peptides are just strings of amino acids that signal, turn on other things like growth hormone, things like that. But BPC is one of my favorites. Again, you can take it orally, which I do. It's great for your gut health. Certainly, we've used it for recovery. It's really more of a recovery hormone than anything, whether it be your gut or your muscles. The other form that we sometimes use it in is we'll have it injected around an area of injury, and it just promotes healing really, really fast. Again, the oral stuff we have in most of our offices, it just helps you recover. It makes you feel better. It's completely safe. Not going to cause you side effects. But for injuries, say like you sprain an ankle or you're an athlete and you tear a meniscus or something, you can actually do these daily injections yourself into subcutaneous into the area, not even into the joint. And it really helps healing a lot. They're hard to get now, and sometimes some people combine BPC 157 with something called TB 500, which is another healing peptide that we have. It's hard to get, though. Again, the FDA does not like peptides too much because they work. There's no money in it for them. So they don't like it. But one good thing about RFK Jr. coming in here, he loves peptides. And I'm hoping that they'll be more available now because we're going to have a completely different oversight from the FDA and the EA. They're going to have completely different bosses who are going to be really more interested in your health rather than, them a pharmaceutical company selling more medicines. So I love BPC. I take it every day. I think it makes me feel better. Certainly helps my gut. I started taking it when I had gut problems from COVID, and I think it really helped me. So I've continued to take it.
I want to ask real quick. This is timely. My buddy Brandon just texted me. I could see here. You saw his X-ray. He had he broke his tibia or a fracture. He fractured his tibula. He asked about peptides for his injury. He obviously already had surgery. Is that something that could help heal?
Yeah, you should definitely get some oral BPC.
Oral?
Really the time to use it's really after your injury. and you could inject it. He had a tibial plateau fracture that was pretty significant. I looked at the X-rays that required surgery, but certainly you need to ask Lindsay about if she can get a hold of it for you.
Which
The
one would you use?
injectable. I'd use the injectable in his case. I'd still take the oral, but for something as isolated as a knee injury or something like that, the injectable works quicker. But Brandon's young, he's healthy, he'll recover quickly anyway. But it's certainly one of my very favorite peptides.
And that's BPC 157. Brandon, let me know if you heard that. I know you're out of town on business. Also, I talked to my brother Andy about this. He's taken BPC 157 because I had another friend asked about it. He said you could inject it subcutaneous, and he said peptides find where it's needed. So like it doesn't necessarily have to be around the site. He said it'll find where it needs to go. Does that sound like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the injections though, say you're having a localized injury, you certainly want to inject it fairly near it. It works a lot better, but it's not going to hurt you to inject it sub-Q in an arm, and it'd help you all over. But especially when combined with TB500, which I think he's actually doing.
And the TB500 is the oral.
No, it's injectable. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super interesting. Super interesting. Thank you for this question. If you guys have questions around peptides, please put them in the comments. We love talking about them. I want to get to this real quick, and then we're going to get to the live comments. What would you recommend for fibromyalgia migraine? And I don't know what this is, Doc. You might have to explain this one to me. What's going on here?
Fibromyalgia, is a very nonspecific disease. Really, I think it's a real disease. Some doctors blow it off, but it's definitely a syndrome, at least, where you have muscle pain in different spots. It moves around. So it's really a diagnosis of exclusion. But there's certain criteria that, needs to be met, like, I don't know how many 18 different pressure points, and they move, they change, but it can be pretty debilitating for fibromyalgia can. And again, you term it fibromyalgia migraine, really anything can trigger migraine. Stress can trigger a migraine. A migraine is typically a vascular headache. And it's a severe headache. It's one of the major causes of, lost work days for sure. So if you have fibromyalgia, you're more likely to have migraines. Some migraines we call hormonal because a lot of them, there's more in women than men by far, and some of them are hormonally related. So one treatment we use a lot of for that is progesterone, bioidentical progesterone. But for fibromyalgia migraine, I would look into taking LDN, low-dose naltrexone. I think it's very helpful for fibro patients because there's something that triggered that fibromyalgia. Whether it was an infection, really bad episode of stress can really kick something off like that. There's no test for fibromyalgia. It's just a diagnosis you have to make based on excluding other things. But it's certainly a real thing. We've had really good luck with IV cocktails for fibromyalgia. We use a lot of natural anti-inflammatories. Certainly the pain vitamins really been good for a lot of my patients for that, or have all the stuff in there that's, natural herbal anti-inflammatories like willow bark and MSM and bromelain. And there's about 6 things in that. We'll have to list them, but so you can try that. And also movement, stretching, exercise. One time I was at a famous lecture from Stanford famous rheumatologist talking about fibromyalgia. This was years ago, and he when it came to talking about fibromyalgia, everybody was very interested because nobody knows how to treat it. So you could see when he brought that subject up, everybody was listening intently and getting their pens to write everything down. And he says there's really only one thing for fibromyalgia, only one cure. Everybody's waiting for some, cataclysmic word, but he says exercise. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that.
That's interesting.
But I certainly like red light therapy. I love infrared sauna for it. There's a lot of things you can do for fibro, so don't give up.
Yeah.
And sometimes we use real medications for it, especially if you have a lot of muscle spasm, tenseness, and things like that. We will. So that's a good thing about integrative medicine. We use prescription medicines. We use herbal medicines. We use natural medicine. So we've got all these tools at our disposal that other people don't have because they just usually practice one way or the other. We do both. And that's the beauty of integrative medicine. So.
I love that. I want to address, I think it seems Afro Brain on Instagram is talking about there's a blackboard label on Ozempic. Because it's true. We talk very highly about these GLP-1s, the Ozempics, the tirzepatides, the Mounjaros, and we do. We want to talk about all of it. Have you heard of a blackboard label or a black box label?
It's called a black box label. It's put on any
black box
label. Yeah, and that's put on any drug that could have a serious consequence. And certainly with the GLP-1s, there could be. If you have a history of recurrent pancreatitis, you don't want to use it. If you have a personal history of medullary cancer, the thyroid, or anybody in your family has a history of medullary thyroid cancer, you don't want to use it. Again, I think that was only observed in one rat. And my brother, was a thyroid surgeon before he retired, he never saw one case in his whole career. That's how rare it is. So, the most common side effect I see from it is nausea. And certainly you can have that delayed gastric emptying, reflux. If you're getting an elective surgery, you want to stop it a week before you get the surgery because it could cause some reflux. You don't want that when you're getting intubated or put to sleep. So, there is warnings for that. So you have to know. That's why you should get this from a reputable doctor or provider that's seen and done a lot of it, not a fly-by-night weight loss clinic that you're not sure where it's coming from, and they may not have expertise in when not to use this, and how to work the dose up. But I will say that the GLP-1s are made as maintenance medications. They're not for quick weight loss and then you stop them. You stay on the lowest dose you can, forever.
I love it. Well, I really appreciate the question, Afro Brain. I hope that helps just a little bit. But I appreciate you asking it, and we want to talk about all the different sides, and there certainly are or can be side effects to some of the GLP-1s. So I really appreciate that. Okay, we're going to keep going with the live comments. If you guys got a question for Dr. Rogers, go ahead and put it in the comments. I'm going to try to get to every single one tonight. Let's go to One Step Forward on YouTube. Thank you for the podcast. Thank you for listening. I had a family member who just got diagnosed with prostate cancer that caught it early. What suggestion would you recommend? They said protein therapy was a possibility. What's your thoughts on it? It seems like this is a younger person.
Very interesting, and I deal with this all the time. A lot of it depends on how young the person is and what grade of prostate cancer he has. There's different scoring for grades of prostate cancer. When you get a biopsy, it's called a Gleason score. It's usually going to be a 6, 7, 8, 9, or hopefully not a 10. And it goes by, like if you have a Gleason 6, it's usually a 3 plus 3 equals 6. If you have a 7, it may be a 3 plus 4 or a 4 plus 3. And when the first number they put means there was more of the samples with a higher grade 4 than there were 3s. And you may have a 4-4. If you get any, most of them turn out to be 7s. If you have a Gleason 6, that's worth just watching it and doing nothing. And just you don't necessarily need to do anything. If you have a 7, a 3 plus 4 is better than a 4 plus 3. So a lot of times, what I recommend will be based on what your Gleason score is, your age, and the important thing is not to freak out, number one. If you have a really high, like a Gleason 9, and you're 50 years old, you need to be very aggressive with it. Even robotic prostatectomy. But there's different ways to treat it. Of course, I used to take them all out and, had a really high percentage of urinary incontinence, ED. It's kind of hard on these guys. Then robotic prostate removals came up and are, quote, nerve sparing procedures, which are definitely better. And then there's radiation therapy. There's different types. External beam was the first one, which you don't want because it's too widespread. Then you could get seed implants, which is what my dad did. Unfortunately, he should never had it done because it really ruined a lot of his bowel function. My dad was a surgeon and really should not have had any treatment for it, to be honest with you, because he was in his 70s by the time they discovered it. To be honest with you, most men, by the time we're 90 years old, we're going to have prostate cancer, but it's not going to kill us. So there's a lot of decision making about what to do about it. There's even some people that have in a certain location, if their prostate's in a certain location and it's not a real aggressive one, and it hadn't spread outside the capsule or near the nerve or neurovascular bundle, they can do a laser focal ablation. There's a few people I've sent to different places. One is Atlanta, one's in Miami, one's in Houston. I've had some friends to go down and get that. And there's a lot less side effects. It's a cash procedure. It's not cheap, but it definitely will spare you from any ED or incontinence. So a lot, it's a thing that you really need to sit down and talk with somebody about what the grade is. And certainly the proton therapy is just the newest form of very directed radiation. It's still radiation. This could still cause you some radiation effects, but it's really more pinpointed. But the problem is you got to get a bunch of treatments in a row. But usually we send them to Knoxville where they have a center. But somebody told me today that they had a place in the Tri-Cities that did it. That's the first I've heard of it. So, but there's some good urologists out there, and there's a lot of decision making when it comes to what to do. It's not like an emergency. You don't have to freak out about it. Take your time. Those things they're very slow growing. So depending on the age and the Gleason score, watchful waiting is an option for you, doing nothing. But yeah, IV vitamin C again. And Mike had a Gleason 6, which is great. Some people don't even call it cancer. But literally, if I had any type of cancer personally, I would immediately get on as much of a ketogenic diet as I could. I would have IV vitamin C. I would get on fenbendazole. I would get on ivermectin. There's a few other things I'd consider doing. We have some protocols out there in addition to whatever you decide to do in the traditional route. But prostate cancer is one of those things you got a lot of ways to go, and sometimes it's hard to make a decision.
Yeah,
I really a lot of guys come to me for my opinion of it before they go get their prostate taken out. A lot of times I'm frank with them. You need your prostate out, or I think we can watch this, or I think you should go for proton, But so it's an individualized thing.
That's a great question.
Get a couple of opinions. If you ever face something like that, get a couple of opinions.
I love that. Thank you, One Step Forward. I hope that helps. Robin, I see you. Thank you so much for being in here tonight. Let's get to Debbie real quick. Hi, team, from a very hot Wednesday morning in Queensland. I'm jealous, Debbie. It's freezing where we're at.
11 degrees. We're 11 degrees, Debbie. But I hope you're watching the Australian Open. I've taped it tonight, and I'm gonna go watch that Djokovic Alcaraz match tonight. So
that's right. Don't tell us who won. Don't tell us who won.
You're not telling me. I hope you're doing okay with your type 1.
So the question around it is around type 1 for Debbie is she's doing the no processed food challenge, wants to know about carnivore for someone with type 1 diabetes. What's your thoughts?
Love it.
Okay.
I love the carnivore diet. Read Dr. Salandino's book called The Carnivore Code. He's kind of the guy with it. And even he's not strictly keto. You got to be careful with a keto diet being a type 1. I know that from having 2 kids with it. But I like the carnivore diet. As you transition to it, if you do, just make sure to eat good, grass-fed beef, and a lot of the meats are not that good for you. But certainly, if you're getting your meats from a regenerative farmer like we have around here, Brookhaven Farms, we're now delivering to all our offices, and hopefully the Knoxville offices soon. But people are really, tomorrow, as a matter of fact, it's the first day of delivery. I've certainly got my order in, and I can't wait to get my fresh eggs and all this.
And this is tomorrow? Wednesday?
Yeah, this is tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay.
So, everybody that has put an order in, go pick them up at Performance Medicine from Brookhaven Farms. The meat is amazing. I'm all for it. They have some amazing tasting, good, pure meat, but I do like that, Debbie. I think you should try it, but close eye on those sugars.
Debbie, thank you so much.
They're going to go down. You won't have to take as much insulin.
Let's get to Andy Margaret here. What's going on, guys? My daughter has high calcium PTL MPV MOEOS. I hope I pronounced that right, Andy Margaret. And low NUET cholesterol 237, LDL 164. She's 14, and father and a few family members have diabetes. Could this be something to indicate diabetes? This is around 14 years old. Looking if this is an indicator, these numbers towards diabetes. What would you say to this? And Andy Margaret, I apologize if I mispronounced anything there.
Yeah, certainly she'd be at more risk for it. If she's 14 and she has an LDL of 164, that's a little high. Especially that age, she may have familial hypercholesterolemia. That's a possibility. So that's something that needs to be really kept an eye on. One thing she may consider besides a low carb diet is berberine. I really like that. I like berberine. I don't know what her calcium score, high calcium score is, but I'm not sure I've even ever ordered a CT calcium, if that's what you're talking about, which is a heart scan. So I'd probably need a little more information. But definitely at risk. So that's somebody that needs to be monitored really closely, so she doesn't develop type 2 diabetes, which is definitely preventable and curable. Really, Andy sees most of the diabetics with children with diabetes. He's so much, being a type 1 himself, and he's just an amazing provider when it comes to diabetes. So that's who I would recommend you see, Andy, over me. He's really good with kids. He even wrote a play about it.
Andy and the Beats.
Type 1 diabetes. But he's really pumped on seeing kids with diabetes, type 1 or 2.
Yep.
But that's definitely somebody that is at major risk for metabolic syndrome. At her age, and it's a great time to really start thinking about, the diet and exercise program, the insulin resistance she has, and take action now so she doesn't have problems down the road.
Andy Margaret, I hope that helps a little bit. Thank you for the question. And Andy will be on the show in February. So bring that question in February. He'd love to talk about it on the show. Linda is asking, what are your thoughts on vitamin D3 with K2? I have fractured tibia, like Brandon, I believe. I also take Plavix. I've heard that K2 can cause blood to thicken. What's your thoughts on this for Linda here?
No, that's a misconception. K2 will not cause your blood to thicken. You could take it when you're on Coumadin. Vitamin K1 can, but K2, and specifically remember, take the MK7. That's the form I like to use. But of course, I'm a big believer in vitamin D with K. No, it will not interfere with your Plavix. Your cardiologist probably doesn't even know that, but do the research. Look it up yourself and do your own research. But in my opinion, it will not cause your blood to thicken. Besides, you're already on Plavix, but it will not interfere with even Coumadin, which is the heaviest of all blood thinners. So that's my thoughts about it. I think it'd be fine.
Thank you, Linda, for that question. Kaylin, I see you over there on Instagram. Onward Knox, what's going on? Thank you guys for being with us this evening.
Hey, did you hear Rachel had her baby, Ben?
No,
Today.
I did. Today?
Today.
Oh my goodness! Congratulations to Rachel and Robbie over there in Johnson City.
Yeah, it's funny because she was in my office at 10 o'clock this morning getting an IV because she was so nauseated. She had a terrible problem with that during her pregnancy. This is her first, and so she was literally in my office from 10 to 12 getting an IV. At 2 o'clock, 2 or 3, she had her baby.
No way. Man, congratulations to Rachel. Goodness gracious, that's incredible. It's like the best news ever. Man, that makes me so happy. Thank you for sharing that, Doc. Okay, let's get to, I'm seeing questions come through. Thank you guys. If y'all have questions for Dr. Rogers, go ahead and put it in the comments. And I'm just overwhelmed by all these birthday wishes for you, Pop. This is incredible. Let's get to Allison. How do you recommend one to come off a GLP-1 once they have met their goal weight or where they want to be health-wise? This is a great question.
Very good question. Very good question. You know, I've had a few people that just radically changed their diet and exercise programs and were able to come off that and transition to something like berberine. You know, for most of my patients that have metabolic syndrome, they need to stay on it, unfortunately. I hate to say that, but it's just through experience and looking at all the studies and all that, it's 95% will regain the weight when they come off of it. Now, Allison, you may be one that's really, changed a lot of things up. And like, for example, maybe a carnivore diet, very low carb diet. But there's so many other factors for this. You know, it's not as simple as a lot of people think. But if you do come off the GLP-1, and a lot of people have to because they can't afford it, their insurance quit paying for it, which makes no sense to me because I've had people in the diabetic range, A1C was, 7.2. They get on GLP-1, it comes down to 5.5 because of the GLP. Then their insurance kicks them off because they're no longer diabetic. So when they come off of it, boom, they're back at 7 or 8.
Man,
so what I try to do is work your way down by, like, if it's semaglutide, Ozempic, Wegovy, just by 0.25. Just lower it by 0.25 every 4 weeks until you're off of it. Or maybe, perhaps, if you're doing really well with it, you may want to, stay on the lowest microdose you can. I have some people that play around with it and really just take even half of a 0.25 every 2 weeks. Again, if you want more kids and all that, then, you probably, that's maybe why you want to come off of it, because pregnancy and all that. So but that's kind of how I would do it, slowly.
Would you replace with berberine, or is that something?
Yeah, if I had to come off of it, that would be my first choice.
So wean off and then maybe go on something like a berberine.
Yeah,
if you need to.
Yeah.
All right, Allison, I hope that helps a little bit. Thank you for the question. I'm going to go to Instagram. Thank you guys for being over here with us on Instagram. Fastin37642, good evening to you. What are Doc's thoughts on creatine usage for type 1 athletes? I love this question.
Yeah, I like it. I don't know how old type 1 is, but I feel pretty comfortable in giving it to a teenagers. It's certainly, 15, 16 years old, full grown. but I like, there's a lot of misconceptions about creatine. I like it because it does build muscle. I think it also helps in recovery. We put HMB in with our creatine, hydroxymethylbutyrate, which is also a fat burner. Um, a lot of people think that creatine can be harmful to your kidneys. No, I haven't found that to be true. You do need to hydrate with it. And other people say, well, you gain muscle with it, and you'll get stronger with it. It's just water weight. Well, in one case, they're right. You're hydrating your muscles, which they function better when they're hydrated.
Mm.
Just like you function better on the tennis court when you're hydrated, especially when you're down in Australia, in the summer like you used to do. But so I like, creatine. I'm all for it. If you're worried about, of course, if you're type 1, you're going to be checking your indices anyway, like your CMP, your renal function, a lot anyway. So if you ever noticed anything like your BUN going up, this means you need to hydrate more. But I like it. And again, when Andy comes on here and does his, you can talk to him about it also, see what he thinks about it.
Thank you for that question over on Instagram. Another one I see from Favored 5 is help with newly diagnosed Hashimoto's. Any suggestions? And then along with that, any with the the GLP-1s, is there any issue with hair loss? Let's go ahead and tackle the Hashimoto's question with a newly diagnosed Hashimoto's patient. Any suggestions for that?
Yeah, a lot of suggestions. First of all, hopefully they check your antibody levels, check your TPO antibody and anti-thyroid globulin antibodies, see where they're at. And then we'll follow them along and see how well controlled you are by following antibody levels. That's something that most doctors don't do, but I think they're important. Something kicked this thing off, whether it be a virus or whatever, something kicked it off. It is the most common form of hypothyroidism. It's usually inherited traits. What I see with that are a lot of gut dysfunction that kicks off this autoimmune Hashimoto's. So make sure your gut's fine. Heal your gut first before you think about anything else. But I'm sure they've checked an antibody if they told you had Hashimoto's. Otherwise, you're not really sure. But so you need a really good diet. And there's 2 supplements that stand out that you need: zinc and selenium. You need 200 milligrams of selenium and 50 of zinc every day. You need to be on a gluten-free diet. You need to balance your gut. Take some Digest Shield or something that will have the right amount of probiotics and digestive enzymes, and chitosan to block down those glutens and lectins. So your diet's really important. And just follow your numbers and see where you are. I tend to prefer the more natural thyroid supplements like NP. Your doctor's probably started you out on Synthroid, which I'm not against at first. That's kind of standard protocol. But I've started out newly diagnosed Hashimoto's with NP or Armour. But you need to get an opinion from a doctor that treats a lot of autoimmune diseases. The other thing I would consider, besides regulating your gut, is the use of low-dose naltrexone. I put all my Hashimoto's patients on LDN. Very helpful in tamping down that autoimmune response. But again, it's pretty common, especially among women.
Seems Favored 5 is on NP and LDN already. One other thing I'll mention to you, Favored 5, is go on our YouTube channel and look up Thyroid Antibodies Robin Riddle or Thyroid Robin Riddle. Our videos with Robin, the Explain This videos will come up, and she goes into detail on how we
very knowledgeable about Hashimoto's.
And can we quickly address the GLP-1 and it seems I'm seeing here from Courtney as hair loss, because I'm also seeing this from Courtney. Thank you, Courtney, for putting this in here. Thyroid problems, losing a lot of hair.
Yeah, you never lose it with any thyroid disease. It'll come back. With women, it will come back. But did you ask about the GLP-1s with hair loss as well? Did I hear that? I'm not
Yeah,
seeing
I'm
that.
seeing that from Favored 5, the GLP-1s and hair loss. Is there any sort of is there any of that happening with the GLP-1 patients?
I don't think it's specifically because of GLP-1, but it's certainly because of rapid weight loss. Anything you do to lose weight quickly, you're going to lose a little hair with it, maybe, but it'll come back. Hair grows in cycles, and it should come back. Most all the time it does, especially if you balance your thyroid and, tamping down that immune response. Um, so you will not go bald.
Thank you guys for those questions. I see you on Renox. I'm going to get to you in just a second. Nina's asking, do you recommend the amino acids are L-arginine, and L-glutamine?
Yeah, those are nitric oxide agonists. So, a lot of athletes use it, for vasodilation to, kind of help oxygenate your endothelium of your muscles. So I like them. I think they're not as potent as what some people think. There's a thing that I used to use, some called Circ O2, and it had beetroot in it, which is another natural nitric oxide agonist. So yeah, in certain conditions, I think it's fine. It doesn't seem to be as potent as some of the other things that some people use, but I'm not against it for sure.
Thank you for that question. Let's get to Anna real quick. And I know I'm going to get to Mark. I'm going to put you kind of as an ender here because I love that question. I currently take metformin for weight loss. Can I take berberine with it? This is such a common question, so I really appreciate this, Anna. What's your thoughts on this?
You can. I don't know if you're at the maximum dose of metformin, which would be 2 grams. That's a lot of metformin. Hopefully, not have a lot of stomach problems with it. But berberine works in a similar way. It's just a lot less side effects. It's not contraindicated. If your metformin's causing you a lot of side effects like GI, you can certainly cut the dose down and then add berberine to it. If you're a diabetic, you need to watch out for hypoglycemia because it definitely works. And it sounds like you're just taking it for weight loss. So you could. It may be overkill, but it's not going to hurt you unless it bottoms your sugars out or causes more stomach problems. Usually you lose stools. But one thing I would suggest to you is getting a continuous glucose monitor and wearing it for a month and just kind of seeing what it does to your sugars. You should look at that anyway, because obviously the weight loss works because it improves insulin sensitivity. And if you're overweight, you're probably insulin resistant. Your insulin's not working good enough to keep your sugars controlled, or maybe working and controlling, but your insulin levels go up to keep your blood level sugar. Insulin's a fat storing hunger, hormone that is used. So, the idea is to have it as efficient as possible, as least of it that you can take. I hope that helps you. So yeah, it's not contraindicated. Just be careful with it, both GI wise and from an aspect of hypoglycemia.
Thank you, Anna, for that question. I love this question from Evangeline. Welcome in, man. So good to see you. What would your top 3 choices be to combat flu in the midst of sickness? First of all, Evangeline, I hope you're feeling okay. This is definitely going around here. What's your top 3 choices?
Yeah. So if you've tested positive for flu, first thing I like to do is treat early. If you had contacted my office, I would consider using Tamiflu in certain patients, but it only shortens the duration of your flu by 1 or 2 days, so it doesn't work as advertised. There's an herbal medication. I can't ever pronounce it or spell it. It starts with an O, but it's a really long word. You can get it down at any natural food store. Somebody will come up with it here in a second, I'm sure. But I would probably prefer that over Tamiflu.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I would say
That was mentioned
some-
last week. I forgot. what
somebody
it
will
was.
pop it up there, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
But in any event, I would pop my vitamin D level up to 50,000 units a day. I would certainly I would probably take a gram of C every hour until you start to feel better. It sounds like too much. It's not too much. I would take zinc, 50 to 100 milligrams. I would drink a lot of fluids. And then I'd have a Z-Pack ready. Again, like I've said before, a lot of times you'll get an infection on top of the flu, a bacterial infection. But I'm really almost convinced that Zithromax helps viruses. And I've told you the story about it many times, probably. But and just take it really easy. Getting a sauna, sweat your guts out like I did when I had it. I'm pretty sure I had the flu about 3 weeks ago. I'm still a little bit hoarse from it. You can tell. The flu's, we were having the worst flu season in 20 years, probably.
Is it this one?
Yeah,
I think it is.
Can you pronounce that?
There's no way I was going to be able to pronounce this one.
You're good at this.
Kaylee, thank you. Real quick. Yep, that's it. There we go. Ashley's got it too. I love it.
I knew they'd come up with it. I just can't pronounce it. That's a really pretty good natural remedy for the flu. I've had great reports. Drink plenty of fluids. I took guaifenesin that really helped loosen the secretions a lot. I did Navage nasal irrigation with saline. I think helped clear my sinuses. So many people get a sinus infection with the flu.
Yeah,
that hangs on for a long time. But yeah, it's tough. You feel terrible in the flu.
Thank you, Evangeline, for that question. I hope you feel better, man. I hope that helps a little bit. If you guys haven't watched the respiratory video, Doc talks about this early treatment in detail. I want to go to Onward Knox over on Instagram real quick. Do you have any dietary recommendations for someone trending towards hypothyroidism?
Any dietary recommendations?
Trending towards hypo.
Yeah. Number one, check your antibody. Check at least a TPO antibody. See where you stand. The other thing, I would make sure you have some zinc and selenium in your vitamin, like we have it in our multi, which is a really good thing to do. I would watch out for glutens. I'd make sure my gut is balanced. Take a probiotic, prebiotic. Just take Digest-Shield. This covers all the bases. Don't get stressed out. Get your sleep, exercise, all those things I would tell you anyway. But if you're trending that way, and just keep an eye on it. Mostly keep an eye on your antibodies.
And Onward Knox,
and your body temperature. That's more important than anything. Check your basal body temperature.
Onward Knox, does that help?
If it's low, keep a red flag up for that.
All right. I hope that helps a little bit. I want to get to Rule here. I think we answered this, and correct me, and Doc, just because it seems that he wrote this as we were talking about it, talking about Fenbin and artemisinin for regression of some cancers. What are your thoughts on the ivermectin-Fenbin combo for lung cancer? Mom has stage 4.
Love it.
Okay.
I'm putting anybody I put on Fenbin now, I also add ivermectin in.
All right, Raul. I hope that helps a little bit. Let's get to Christy. Thank you, Christy, for being patient with me. I've been on Wegovy for a year now, and my insurance changed the tier. I was paying $25 a month. Now it's $7.26. Is your Berberine Max comparable? This is a common issue we see.
Yeah, that's not surprising, is it? That's what happens. It's just terrible what they're doing. No, Berberine Max is great, but it's not comparable to Wegovy. Wegovy is going to be a lot more effective for sure. But one strategy you could do is if you're down to your weight, If obviously you take Wegovy, it's for weight loss. So, if your weight's down there and you can't afford it and you don't want to stay on a tiny dose of it, again, think about getting the compounded form of it from a reputable source. We order that out the wazoo. It's not that expensive. You use a low dose as maintenance. I do like berberine max, but it's not semaglutide, tirzepatide. Wish it was, but it's good, but it's not as good as that.
It's a great question, Christy. Thank you for that. I'm going to put this up from Evangeline, doing all the above plus ivermectin and 200 milligrams twice daily of hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah, I meant to tell you ivermectin. That's definitely, I got on that the day I got sick. You should always have ivermectin at home when you travel, and certainly hydroxychloroquine's okay too. I'm all for it. You'll get better. You'll just feel miserable for a few days. You just will.
I'm going to put this up from Jules on LinkedIn. Thank you, Jules. Started Mounjaro. I was pre-diabetic, and it had completely reversed within 3 months. That's amazing. That's so important. I wanted to put this up just for people to see. That's so encouraging, Jules. Thank you.
You might stay on a low dose of it if you can.
Yeah. I want this from Mark. Thank you, Mark, for this question. One, because I'm interested, and I love talking about this stuff because medicine changes. And that's, one of the reasons we do this weekly show is it evolves. We learn more. What's your thoughts on this? What are 3 things
that's a good question, Mark,
that you were taught in medical school that's been disproven or was just false? I don't want to say anything. I think I know one of them at least.
Yeah. One of them was that cholesterol causes heart disease. In my opinion, it does not cause heart disease. Another one was that testosterone caused prostate cancer. It does not cause prostate cancer. Another one would be estrogen causes breast cancer. It does not cause breast cancer. So those are 3 things. Man, I bet you I could think of a ton more, but those are the biggies that I see. And I'm trying to think of something funny too, but I can't seem to think of it.
Well, the thing that came when I saw this question from Mark, the thing that came to mind was supplements.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you were taught that in medical school or not. Like if you're taught
we
that
weren't
supplements
taught
don't
pro or
work.
con. We weren't taught that it was, wasteful or, I guess some of the professors did think that people that took a lot of vitamins are just creating expensive urine, and that's completely false. You need supplements. It's just you can't get them all through your diet. Here's a good one. We were actually taught. Look at the food pyramid. The food pyramid was exactly wrong. They had your base diet should be carbohydrates, and that fats caused heart disease, clogged your arteries. That was completely wrong. Man, there's so many things that you could come up with. That's a really thought-provoking question. I'll try. Man, I may come up with a list of that.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. I love this question, Mark. Thank you for this. I want to get to one other question while you're thinking on that from KL Dean. I missed KL Dean. Sorry about this. What can we do for the microplastic in our blood? This is a hot topic. Any thoughts on this for KL Dean on YouTube?
Those are forever things. You should look up Dr. Atiya's take on this. He had a blog about that this week. I looked at it. Again, when you listen to Dr. Atiya, you're going to be listening for 2 hours. Sometimes he has some pearls on it. But I like infrared lights. I like infrared saunas. I like sweating. I like hydration. I like you not to put any more microplastics in your blood. I'm going to do a podcast on it here soon. It's coming to the forefront how much plastic that we're getting. Dr. Atiya doesn't think that it's as harmful as some people make it out to be. But
interesting.
Again, that's his opinion. But but yeah, any kind of detox and keep yourself as healthy as ever. Remember, most of that stuff accumulates in fat. So, if you're less fat, you're going to have less problems with it. Any kind of toxins stored in your fat. So to get rid of the fat, and make sure your liver's working right. Don't drink alcohol. Don't do all the other things that can add up, because those plastics are hard. It's hard in everyday living to keep it out. You can certainly do all the other things to prevent it now that we know a lot about it, but not heating up plastics and ingesting it, that type of thing. But you're right, it's a concern.
Yep.
But those would probably be the things. And I want to try to do more research and do a full podcast on that, hopefully pretty soon.
KL Dean, thank you for that. Real quick, I think we can knock this one out quick from Mark. It's the 60,000 IUs a day of vitamin D3 for 7 days for respiratory. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's right. Like I said, the first thing I would do, 50,000 a day. 50,000 a day for 5 to 7 days is the first thing I would do. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Allison, I love you so much. This is so sweet. Thank you for this. This is such a kind comment. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you. I hope you're doing great. I hope to see you soon. Thank you for listening in.
What do you think about this? Am I giving Highlander vibes?
Is this me, or has been Highlander vibes? I'm trying to remember. Did you see that?
Yeah, Highlander's it's like a is he not he's not a mountain man, he's a warrior. I know that. So yes, I think I'm definitely giving those vibes. Thank you, Evangeline.
Yeah, he's getting some kind of vibe out for sure. I'm thinking more country music,
I'm giving a vibe. I don't know what type of vibe that is. Well, guys, such a great show. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, D-Len. How do we do? This is Dr. Rogers' birthday week. We're turning 70 this week on Thursday. We're pumped to get to hang out with you guys tonight. And Michelle, thank you. That's so sweet. You guys are the best. There's so many. Oh, shoot, Kathy. Let's get Kathy's real quick. Is it safe to take turmeric supplements with blood pressure medicines?
Yes, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. No problem at all. Again, guys, it was a good Q&A. I'm sorry I went off a little bit, but I had to get that off my chest. Did you understand me? We won't talk about it much anymore. Again, I don't like to get controversial. Sometimes it gets to be a little much, and I'm just happy now that we won't have to worry too much about this.
I'm excited for this year on the show, man. I tell you what, guys, we're going to be here every Tuesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern. We're going to be answering health and wellness questions. We want to be a part of your evenings. Hang out with us, ask your questions, and you'll get to see Izzy and Ike. Thank you, Brother Steve.
Yeah, there's Ike. I don't know.
There's Ike.
Izzy's not going to come on the show tonight.
Real quick, I'm seeing 60,000 of vitamin D, even if your vitamin D isn't low. So this is around when you're getting it. Yeah.
Remember, you're just doing that for 5 to 7 days.
Just 5 to 7. Kaylee, does that make sense? So yes, even if it's not low, that's fine with the rest. If you're doing it for the respiratory.
Yeah. Come here.
Did we see Izzy? There Izzy is. What is that? A bone?
The bone.
Pop, man, I'm pumped for Thursday. We're gonna have a great time. Gosh, Robin was in here. We had Katie Carter. I saw Kaylin over on Instagram. We had so many people on our team tonight. Tabitha, thank you guys so much for being with us tonight. Thank you for everything that y'all are doing in the office. It's just such an amazing. We're having such an amazing year already. We're pumped to help as many people out as we can, and hopefully this show is adding a little bit to that. So
Tabitha was doing this. Tabitha really bruised her elbow in the parking lot.
No.
Yeah, she fell. She went out in the parking lot going home that night and was doing some kind of dance in the park. I don't know if it was a Trump dance or what, but she was doing this move with her feet and shuffling her feet, and she fell down on her elbow and got a big.
Oh, Tabitha.
She's okay.
Okay, shoot, I hate that, Tabitha. I hope you're recovering. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Kaylee. Yeah, Carter, that's right. Izzy is probably that. This is the truth. Izzy's probably eating something. Pop, I love you, man. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Cherry. Thank you. Ivy's in here too. Ivy and JC with Ivy. Ivy's in here. Thank you, brother Steve. Thank you. Thank you, Evangelon. Get a prime rib. That's right. Doc, thank you, man. I'll see you in a couple days.
Thank you.
Guys, we love you. We'll be back Tuesday, 7 o'clock. We're doing this every single week, every single Tuesday. Gosh, this is so much fun. Grandma Mary, I love you. I see you. I'll see you Thursday. All right, guys, we're out. Let's see. Outro with Brad. Where are you at? All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Love you guys.
Don't go away.